A classical Indian raga, one of the most interesting but demanding forms of music I know. The raga, as an artistic experience, is becoming familiar to music lovers the world over. It is richly rewarding to look a little more closely into a way of life to which the raga serves as a bridge. The raga is the expression in music of a mood, of a state of feeling. Here, played on a rooftop in Jodhpur, is the raga Ahira Bhairava, a raga of the early morning. The feeling of Bhairava is masculine, austere, exalted in spirit, while remaining loving and tender. This grouping of instruments is fairly typical. The leading instrument is the sarod, followed by the more familiar sitar, which helps to develop the pattern of the melody. The raga is also a call to contemplation. Bhairava invites us to reflection and thought before we submit to the routine of the day. Any raga can be extended and developed for as long as 4 or 5 hours, depending on the inspiration of the musicians and the receptive participation of their audience. Rhythm is, of course, a vital element of the raga. These drums, or tablas, are tuned as the other instruments are, but in the skilled hands of a virtuoso achieve a truly astonishing range of melodic expression. The notes of the raga rise and fall against the steady background of a continuous drone, here supplied by the tambura. Its purpose is to give a neutral canvas on which the colors of the melodic phrases stand out. The raga form is accepted throughout India as its national classical music, but it would be wrong to consider it as the only kind of Indian music or to confuse it with folk music. 3/4 of the 500 million inhabitants of India are villagers or country people. The villagers of Rajasthan are farmers and herdsmen, famous for the quality of their cattle. They live close to the soil in a pattern of existence that changes but slowly through the generations. Each village clusters around its source of water, without which there can be no life or growth in this thirsty land. For the villager, the temple is the hub around which turns the regular cycle of his social as well as his religious life. It is perhaps in this style of chanted chorus that we should look for the very distant roots of the highly complex and sophisticated forms into which the classical raga has evolved. In this fertility dance, the filled water pots and the sprouting branches of foliage represent fulfillment, a symbolic offering so that nature may be merciful and send growth and increase. The simple repeated patterns of the dance and the strong rhythms of the music are typical of true Indian folk music, but the forms that these take vary greatly from one region to another. In this district of Rajasthan, as usual, the men dance separately from their womenfolk. From its origins in the chants heard in temple ceremonies, the raga has been developed and refined over at least 2,000 years in the religious and courtly centers of India's culture. In the bustling marketplaces and the quiet back streets of cities are still to be found ancient crafts and skills. For 700 years, the sitar maker has begun in this way the creation of the elaborate instrument that is the favorite medium of the raga player. Sun-dried gourds go to make soundbox and resonator. In everyday surroundings, with simple materials and tools, he will devote a whole month single-handed to each instrument. Hardwood from the forest for the neck and pegs, brass for the movable frets, metal decorations for inlay, lacquer for finish. The strings are all of steel, 4 or 5 melody strings, 3 drone strings, and 11 to 17 sympathetic strings. The sitar is built and adjusted with the most delicate precision to carry the soaring architecture of raga music. Each raga is related to a particular watch or period of the day or night, or to a season of the year. In ancient observatories like this, the courses of stars and heavenly bodies were plotted and predicted to mark the sequence of time expressed in the calendar of ragas. The message of the classical ragas is echoed in painting and other art forms. Here, the mood of the morning raga, todi, contemplative, feminine, is captured in form and color. Bhairavi, another morning raga, is devotional in expression, with a girl playing cymbals before a shrine of the Lord Shiva. Pictures like these show how each raga is considered to have a character and even a personality, masculine or feminine, austere or pleasure-loving, gay or serious. The spring raga, Vasant, for example, is feminine in character, intense, pleasure-loving, and light. It is here played on the sarangi, a kind of fiddle with 17 strings. Again, the rhythm is carried by the tabla and the continuous drone by the tambura. Like the Vasant, ragas are never written down, but handed on from master to disciple in a living tradition of direct teaching. Students sit with their chosen teacher hour after hour, day after day, playing together for as many as 12 years. In the early stages, they merely listen to recitals of ragas. Later, they follow and copy the master. Only the best reach the last stage of being allowed to perform on their own. No raga is ever performed twice in an identical way, for this musician is as much composer as interpreter, extending and improvising in his own way on the classical set theme. He exploits an octave with much finer and subtler shadings than we do with the rigid 12 divisions of our Western usage. He takes 5, 6, or 7 notes, dictated by the raga selected, which he then uses like a palette of colors, embellishing them in hue and design to create his unique expression of the intended mood. Finally, a complete raga, the Sint Bhairavi, consort or feminine counterpart to the morning raga Bhairava, which we already know. A devotional raga, tender and loving in character, Bhairavi combines pleasure and sadness. The piece begins with an improvised prelude, the alap, in which the sitarist states his theme while the tabla player listens. Both then move through the astai, or development section, into the antara, which heralds the conclusion. Listen now to the Sint Bhairavi.
Thank you.